Hello, hello. So this is going to be a pretty loaded message, and I'm going to say right now that the devil's trying it. You know, y'all, the devil's trying it. It's right around the full moon here. It's the last full moon of 2024. It's just been an escalation, as I've talked about on this channel. It's been an escalation since the fall season began. Well, the midpoint of the year, since actually summer. The summer season in July is when it kicked off, because the devil knew he only had less than 6 months left to try to do his shenanigans, right? To try to make his plan go. And what that plan looked like was keeping the wicked in position and having the children of God, the chosen ones, oppressed, right? And so the Lord has been giving me so many downloads this last week in regards to finishing up this year 2024 and what 2025 looks like, and the transitions that we're making right now, because even though we're transitioning from one year to another, we're also transitioning spiritually, right? The world is shifting, things are changing. The Lord is taking things that were up and putting them down, and the things that were down and putting them up. And this has been prophesied all year, right? Where the last shall be first and the first shall be last. The Bible talks about this. The Bible talks about this and says this, right? That the head will be the tail and the tail will be the head, kind of a thing. So that I'm going to start out with that, and just saying that just this morning I was reading a news article, because I'm in Canada, like I talk about. And the Lord is just confirming to me. So about a month ago, after Trump had won, the Lord had given me the word to say, the Lord's telling me to go back further than that. So I'd say the beginning of the fall season, around September, October time, I was putting out messages as far back as like 3-4 months ago, where the Lord has been putting it on me to talk about the government in Canada, and not just in Canada, but Canada in particular, because of course that's close to me, being like, that's my home, right? But saying that the government of Canada is very corrupt, and that demons are running and controlling the government. Not everybody, but specific individuals, especially those in the most powerful positions, right? And I talked about how our leader, Prime Minister, should have stepped down a long time ago, because this time last year, people were asking him to step down, and the Lord had revealed to me that he's going to do this. This is what he's going to do. He's going to take those that are in a idolatry position, where they've idolized themselves, but a powerful position, and bring them down low. And it doesn't matter if these people have idolized themselves or if others have idolized them, but that's what the Lord's going to do. And then meanwhile, he's going to elevate those that have been being spat on and treated poor and all this. So throughout this year, a couple of years, but last year and this year in particular, we saw certain individuals that deserve to be the head, not the tail, and those that were in a head position were spitting on those that were assumed to be in a tail position. But those in the tail position were not ever in a tail position. It just appeared that way, because the devil likes to skew appearances. The devil likes to make the bad look good and the good look bad, right? The ugly look pretty and the pretty look ugly, right? But it doesn't change what God made. So if God made someone pretty, it doesn't matter if people look at them as ugly. God didn't make them ugly, God made them pretty, right? And same thing, if God made somebody righteous and good and they're deserving of something, then just because the devil tries to skew perceptions and make that person and others believe that that thing is wicked and bad and terrible, it doesn't mean that that thing is wicked, bad, and terrible, because God made it. Okay, thank you, Lord. The Lord is saying, like, picture like a sunset, right? We all know how beautiful and glorious a sunset is. But the devil will try to put clouds and blackness in front of that beautiful sunset that God created, and trying to say, oh, look how ugly the sky is. Look how ugly the sky is. And for those that don't have eyes to see or ears to hear, could like see that and think that that's what it is. But those that spiritually understand know that there's actually a beautiful sunset behind that, and it doesn't change that there's a beautiful sunset behind that just because the devil tried to alter and skew perception and make it appear as something that it's not, right? Because he's deceptive. So all throughout this last year or two, the devil's worked real hard to make things that are not good look good, and things that are good look bad, okay? So that this can even be viewed in like the thing with your kingdom spouse. And again, you know, I use that word loosely, but you know what I'm saying? If they were dealing with a counterfeit and you couldn't understand, because on a scale of 1 to 10, you're like a 9 out of 10, this counterfeit's like a 2 out of 10. That's a perfect example of how the devil was trying to make this counterfeit, who's factually a 2 out of 10, look like a 9 out of 10, and you who are factually a 9 out of 10 look like a 2 out of 10. Okay, that's just one example. So, you know, you were, say in your friend circle, you were always the best friend. All these other friends talked about each other behind their back. They betrayed each other. They gossiped about each other. You know, they were cutthroat, whatever. You were never like that. You were always faithful, honest, true, trustworthy, genuine, right? A good person. But the devil made it look the other way around. The devil made it look like these cutthroat, wicked individuals were actually of good caliber, and that you, being a good person, was actually the opposite, that you were them and they were you, that you were the wicked one, you were the terrible one, and all this stuff. And of course, none of that was true, right? And so you couldn't understand, because you're like, okay, I'm like a really good catch, right? Like, I'm a good partner to my person, right? I'm faithful, I'm loyal, I'm caring, I'm loving, I'm kind, I'm a really good friend, I'm a loyal friend, I'm a true friend, I'm genuine, I'm honest, I'm trustworthy, I don't backstab people, I don't betray people. What is going on? Why are those that are liars and cheaters and stealers, why are they getting, you know, relationships and friends and positions and opportunities, and I'm not? The only reason why was because the devil tried to make it look like, so that you could perceive yourself incorrectly and perceive these people incorrectly, right? But the Lord came through for the win, and you're not the only one that was going through this, chosen one. All the chosen ones were going through this on a collective scale, personally and collectively, okay? This is because the devil was trying to do this to try to slow down and alter what was happening around the world, because the devil knew that come 2025, which we're embarking on now, was going to be the year that things were going to shift into the proper place, where the heads were going to be the heads and the tails were going to be the tails. No more heads being tails and tails being heads. No more of that. The Lord was going to put the people where they rightfully belonged, okay? So those that were wicked are going to be looked at as what they truly are, which is wicked. And those that were righteous are going to be looked at for what they truly are, which is righteous. No more skewing, no more sneaking, you know, trying to illusions, none of that stuff, okay? So we already went through all of that in 2023, but particularly 2024, right? And the Lord is saying that now that we're getting into 2025, the devil's worst nightmares are coming true, because the devil didn't want the chosen ones to be in the position they're in. And right now, as I say this message, as I speak, the chosen ones are in a very powerful position. No, you're not running around throwing your weight everywhere, you know, bragging, gloating, sitting with a crown on your head, literally, but spiritually you are. You have been spiritually crowned. You have went through the muck and the mire throughout this this year, 2024, has been a major struggle year, okay? Not just for myself, but for all the chosen ones. We were thrown everything but the kitchen sink from the devil this year, right? He was trying to play with the finances. He was trying to take away all your support system. Whether if you had a friend, if you had a lover, if you had family, take it all away. He was trying to make you look like the bad guy and make these bad guys look like the good guys, trying to make your enemies look like they were something they're not, and that they were holier than thou when they're not. They're actually condemned to the pit of hell. By, you know, it is. That's what, you know, it is what it is, right? So you're going to heaven, right? If something were to happen to you today, you'd be going to heaven. If something were to happen to them, they'd be going to hell, right? But it is what it is. But the devil tried to alter the perception of things, alter the perception that you have of yourself, alter the perception that you have of God and these people, and also alter the perception that these people had of you. So an internal misperception and an external misperception, okay? So that everything you saw about yourself was wrong, and everything you saw outside of you was wrong, and everything that these people saw about themselves inside was wrong, and everything they saw about you and outside of themselves was wrong. So it was just a complete, you know, they were down, and the devil tried to make you and them think they were up, and you were up, and the devil tried to make you and them think you were down, okay? And so the Lord is saying, come 2025, that record is getting straight, okay? These people that have been in these powerful positions throughout this year are coming down. They need a humbling. It's not just because, you know, they need to be sat down, blah, 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 blah. It's not just that. They need a humbling. Like, they need, like, I'm gonna get a little specific in this message. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm gonna tell you right now, YouTube will probably not publish this message because, sorry if I'm all over the place, but I got a lot to say in this one. YouTube is trying to silence me, okay? And the Lord said the reason why is because what I say happens, right? When I say something, it comes to pass, good or bad or whatever. So if I say the chosen ones will be elevated and promoted, and I speak it, the chosen ones will be elevated and promoted. If I say that these wicked ones are going to be brought down, then these wicked ones will be brought down. When I speak on what the Lord gives me to say and I say it, it comes to pass. And so it's got these enemies of mine and these outside people, entities like YouTube and the such, so scared, so mad, so upset, so beside themselves that they can't. Like, okay, there's been comments made on my channel that I've physically witnessed a comment that somebody made. It was a positive comment, okay? Saluting me, saluting the channel, saluting God. I commented back and we had this nice comment exchange. The comment's deleted, okay? Like, literally, they comment, I catch it, I read it, I respond, and, you know, we exchange, and then the comment gets deleted. Haven't you noticed that I have, like, next to no comments on my channel? You know what I'm saying? Just go and look. There's barely any views, there's barely any comments, but yet, like, some videos will have, like, 50 views, but not a single comment. And it's just video after video after video, no comments. And it's not just in regards to my channel. I've went and made comments on political channels in the past, like last week or two, and they've been deleted. I've went back and checked from, my daughter's account specifically, and went and saw it, and the comment's not there, okay? Or it'll show it there, you know, when you comment on something and you check back and look, your comment's up at the top to show you. Well, I'll go back and look and my comment's not there. And I'll go and I'll search down and I can't find it anywhere. My comment was deleted. And of course, it's not because I'm being out of line or out of order. They just don't want me speaking, because whatever I speak, whether it's like physically speak it or I type it, this comes to happen, right? And so I have my enemies so scared and sad and mad and upset they can't even sleep at night because they're so worried that I'm going to say something or speak something, because when I do, then there we go. If I say they're going to be poor and I speak it, they will be. If I say that they're going to fall from grace and they're going to, you know, fall from their position of whatever it may be at their job or with friends standing, social standing, and I say it, then they will. They don't want me talking. So because of that, one of the things that they've been on me for these last couple of months is trying to zip my lips, trying to make me not write anything, trying to make me not say anything. And when I push past it through the power of God, and I do say something or write something, they go and delete it. They go and not show it. They put me on the blacklist, you know, the blackballed or whatever they call it, where I'm not being heard, I'm not being seen on purpose. And even if somebody comes across me, the odd person, then they just delete my comment or, you know, whatever, I don't know, but they do whatever they do in their wicked ways to try to silence me. So that, and then they even try to oppress me so that I don't make videos at all. Okay, so they're constantly trying to not have me speak in the first place. And if I do speak, they try not to have my material seen. And if my material happens to, if I pass those checklists, then they don't let anyone comment on my material. And in the event that somehow it overslips their eyes and I make the material and it gets commented on, they go and delete the comments and they put me on the back burner so that no one can come across me, whatever else. If I write comments, those get deleted. You know what I'm saying? I am completely censored, and it's nothing new. This has been going on ever since I started my channel, and I just pushed past it. But the Lord has revealed to me in these last couple days here is that one of the biggest reasons why this is because those in my little orbit and those outside of me, in the world, are scared of what I have to say. They don't want me specifically to speak because, and the Lord revealed and confirmed that what I have to say from the Lord comes to pass. When I say things, yeah, it may not be in 10 minutes, but it comes, whether it be in a week or a month or even 6 months or a year, it comes to happen, right? Why? Because I'm a prophet of the Lord and the Lord sent me to prophesy. That's exactly what that's exactly what happens with a true prophet. A true prophet's messages should come to pass. If you're listening to somebody that's prophesying this and you've been tuning into this person for weeks, months, years, and none of what they say ever comes to pass, like you never see it, whatever it may be, and there's no like click of confirmation for you, then that's not a true prophet. There's been times that I have tuned into true prophets that the Lord has led me to, and they've said this, and I haven't believed it in the moment. Like in the moment, a part of me is doubtful. I'm like, I don't think so. And then sure enough, a couple weeks, couple months later, it comes to pass, and the Lord doesn't let me forget to give them the credit. The Lord's like, remember so-and-so said this? And I was like, oh, right. That has happened to me a few times, okay? And so the Lord has revealed that he does that with me too, is that these enemies will come and listen to my videos, for instance, okay? Or even say like the YouTube listeners that have to check out my video before it gets processed. And that's another thing. Sometimes it takes hours just to process one little video. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be posting a 45-minute video and it takes like 6 hours to like what's taking so long? You know what I mean? I'm literally talking about God. So I don't know why it needs to pass so many tests. And so if y'all come across this word, I'll be surprised, because this is one of the ones. They flag a lot of my content, but this one in particular will be one of them, because I'm going to be dropping some real words on this one. And so if they were already, beside themselves, a couple weeks ago or a month ago, well, this one's really going to tangle them up. So, but I'm going to say I'm not going to stop. As long as the Lord gives me my messages and guides me and leads me, I'm going to be putting them out, whether they come across 0 ears or one person's ears or 1 million ears. It's irrelevant. I'm going to continue to say what the Lord has led me to say. I'm going to continue to comment. And if, it gets deleted, whatever. It's just further confirmation. When these things happen, when my comment section is empty, when I get deleted, when I get blacklisted, etc., it's just confirmation to me that I'm on the right track. Because why would you need to silence somebody who's just talking about nails and eyebrows and tattoos? You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't. That's the thing, is I see this fluffy content getting passed around and viewed and discussed and, idolized, because the devil wants you to do that. He wants you to waste your time on vanity and idolatry, okay? But when it comes to somebody who's actually taking the time, effort, and energy out to talk about things that are important, things that could help you, there's not many people, like, for instance, there's people that use tarot cards to try to read into the future, but what about those that don't need nothing? You know what I'm saying? What about those that don't need nothing? You don't need no palms, you don't need no leaves, you don't need no crystals, you don't need no cards. You literally just hear from God, straight source. He literally says blah, 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 blah to you, and you press record and say blah, 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 and repeat exactly verbatim what he told you. You're not having to think about it, write stuff down. You're not having to talk about a dream you had, to use cards, introduce a third party like some other person. You just literally hear from God when you're doing dishes or when you're driving, and you can receive that and speak it and have it come to pass on a regular basis. How many people actually fit in that genuine category? Not many, right? And so this is the thing, is somebody like that in that position is somebody who's of value, but yet instead the devil has this world so upside down that those that put out content of value that can truly actually help someone, this stuff can help you understand what's going to happen before it happens, so you can be prepared. When people are talking about cooking videos and about hair and makeup tips, you're not learning anything that could help you next month or next week or next year. You know what I'm saying? And for those that you do tune into that say they're prophetic, that profess the same thing I am, and they're truly not, well, what's the point? You may as well listen to makeup tips and cooking videos, because what they're talking about is never going to come to pass. They can sit all day and tell you that you and Buddy are meant to be together and you're going to come together, but I'm here to tell you that you're not. You know what I'm saying? And so just wait it out and see then what comes to pass. And had you have listened to the true prophet, you would have known that y'all aren't going to get back together or come together in the first place, because y'all are each other's counterfeits, and you could have moved on with somebody else by now. But because you tune into fluff and you hear these other so-called prophets say, y'all getting back together, and they've been saying this for 6 months and y'all haven't even spoke. When is this going to happen? You know what I'm saying? and there's no confirmation from the Lord, you're just wasting time. Now, if the Lord leads you in that direction, then that's a whole different story, which the Lord will, depending on your circumstances. But when you're with the Lord, it's not a one size fits all, right? What the Lord has for me might not be what he has for my next sister or my next brother, right? That's what the Lord has for me. And so just because I'm speaking about my story or they're speaking about theirs doesn't mean that that's for you. But when I put out a prophecy that the Lord verifies to me that is for the collective, that means that it's not just for my ears or my knowledge only, it's for others that are in Christ to know, or maybe even serves as a warning to enemies, then, that's helpful, is it not? That's beneficial. And because of that, that's why I'm being silenced, you see? Like I said, if I was on here talking about cooking videos, I would be heard all day, every day. My comment section would be blowing up. But because I'm on here talking about real stuff that could really help people and really comes to pass with what I have to say, good, bad, or indifferent, then it's a problem, right? It's an issue, okay? So I wanted to discuss that. Then the second thing that I wanted to talk about too on here, on this specific video, is, there was so many things that the Lord gave me, and I'm trying to get it all in here. Okay, so going back to the head and the tail part. So it's already started happening when we talked about the fall season, okay? So it started happening in the summer. That was the prelude. And then once we hit the fall season, like I made that word back in September, that the Lord titled it fall season for a reason. He didn't say autumn season, which fall is technically called autumn, right? But the Lord wasn't saying that. He kept saying fall season and accentuating the word fall. And so I knew that he meant that people are going to fall throughout the fall season. And that doesn't mean just physically, like you're running and you trip and fall. I mean spiritually fall, okay? And we all know things will happen spiritually and then happen physically. So if you spiritually fall, like the Lord has delegated that you're going to fall, it's just a matter of time before it shows up in your world, right? And so going back to the government for a second, the Lord had told me that in the Canadian government that Prime Minister should have stepped down last year. But because he was ran by demons and has the narcissistic, prideful ego thing going like a lot of the corrupt politicians do, he wanted to run it till the wheels fell off, literally. And so the Lord's like, okay, since you don't want to do it my way, the Lord had said that he put it on Prime Minister's mind to step down, right? Do the right thing, right? Do the humble thing, do the right thing, and just step aside. You're not fit for duty. You're not fit for the job. It is what it is. Just pass it off to someone who is. That's what a humble person would do, right? Like myself or you. But because these politicians are ran by the devil, their pride is the size of a city. And so therefore they're like, no, I can come back. I can make this work. I don't care if nobody wants me or likes me. I can still make this happen. And the Lord is saying that this very same thing has been happening with your enemies throughout this fall season on a personal scale. The Lord has been advising your enemies, just stop. You're not going to get ahead. You're going to hurt yourself trying. It's like the Lord's showing me somebody trying to slide on ice and thinking they can run on it. You and I both know you can't run on ice without falling, but these people are so skewed, and like I said, they think 2 + 2 = 6, that they think foolishly, by the devil's made them fools to think that they can run on ice and not fall. And so that's the thing, is that these politicians have been running on ice, this PM in particular, and doesn't think he's going to fall. But it's inevitable. Eventually you're going to fall if you run on ice, right? Everybody knows this. But common sense goes out the window. And so there's no common sense here. Same with these enemies. These enemies have been seeing how things are falling through their fingers and have been for months. But they still have been trying to tell themselves every time they fall, they get back up and say they won't fall again. But then they fall again and get back up and say they won't fall again. Then they fall, right? It's been this cycle. So these enemies in your life and mine, throughout the last couple months, this fall season in particular, have been slipping and falling, right? And that's a hint to them that, that you're going the wrong way, basically. You're going in the wrong direction. But they just think if they get themselves back up, that it's not going to happen again. But it's getting harder and harder for them to get back up. I just heard that old song, I'm slipping and falling and I can't get up. I'm slipping and I'm falling and I can't get up. So thank you, Lord, that's confirmation at this time. So Lord is saying that your enemies have slipped and fell throughout months, but they've somehow gotten back up. And now they're at the point, the Lord is saying, no, they've slipped and fell and they can't get up. Like there's no more getting up because we're at the end of the year, right? Where we only have like 2 more weeks left of December. So think about it. Every time you slip and fall, you're going to hurt yourself, right? And so when you slip and fall, you need to go and rest, okay? But these enemies in your personal world and globally have slipped and fell and got themselves back up, and then slipped and fell and got themselves back up, and they're not resting in between. They just keep falling. So every time you fall, you get less coordinated. Your body's sore from the time before. You don't have the agile movements you had before because you're stiff and sore and swollen from the last fall. You know what I'm saying? That's how the Lord is showing it to me. So it's now to the point where these enemies know they can't get up. They've slipped and fallen, and this was the last time where they can't get up. And the Lord has them right where he wants them. The Lord is saying a year or two ago, these enemies had us where they wanted us. Picture like a web, a spider web, right? You know how the spider will weave a web and the prey doesn't see it, and then the spider can trick them into getting into their web. Once the prey gets in the web, they're stuck, they're caught, and the spider has them where they want them because now the spider can wrap the web around them and do whatever they want, right? Well, the Lord is saying that a year or two ago, the enemies had us where, like us chosen ones, where they wanted us, where we were like in their grasp and there was nothing we could do about it, right? But the Lord is saying that he's turned the tables. Thank you, Lord. He's confirming the word I put out about the pendulum. Again, the only way that all my videos are going to click like a domino effect for you is if you listen to every single one of my videos one after the other. And you'll find that the videos I made in spring played out in fall. The videos I made in fall are playing out now. And the videos I'm making now are going to play out right now, the rest of this month, and into next year, right? And so they go in a sequence. Thank you, Lord. And so the Lord is bringing back to my memory about the pendulum video. I put out a video speaking about how the Lord said in, I think it was like September, October time when this fall season started, that the pendulum had started to swing from their side onto ours, okay? And that once the pendulum makes that halfway marker and it starts to swing over to the other side now, the momentum will continue to just increase it onto that side more and more and more, right? And so that's what's happened is that as I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now, that the Lord was showing me the full pendulum scale as January 2024 to January 2025, okay? And so for the first 6 months of 2024, so January until I guess July, that was the first half like of the year, and the pendulum was on these enemies' side at that time. But it was on their side, but not fully and completely, because the pendulum wasn't stuck there. It was a swinging pendulum. So it was just a matter of time before this pendulum made its way over to the opposite side, right? Because it was swinging from one end to the other. So then once we hit July, which would have been the summer season, was when things started to shift, and the pendulum started to go in the latter half, which was from July to January, and to the side of the righteous, okay, from the wicked to the righteous. And so as we've went through August, September, October, November, this pendulum has gained momentum more and more and more over to the side of the righteous, to where it started January 2024 extreme left, and now it's ending 2024 on the extreme right. And so when the beginning of this year, these enemies thought they had everything in their favor to an extreme amount, they're now witnessing and seeing that everything is going against them and going in their disfavor onto the chosen one's favor on the extreme opposite end now. So what we started out with this year is not what we're ending with at the end of this year, right? So this was why the devil had worked so hard through 2024, is because the devil knew this. What I'm explaining, the devil knew this too. He knew that in the latter half, this pendulum was going to move completely over. And so that's why he spent the whole year attacking chosen ones hardcore, but especially since summertime in this last 6 months. And if you've noticed, through July, August, September, October, November, December, the attacks have gradually increased by like a notch every month since July. You're not mistaken. That's because, like I explained about the pendulum, as it was swinging more and more, the devil knew it was going to come full circle come December. And so it's been ramped up from spring to summer, ramped up from summer to fall, ramped up from fall to winter, ramped up, right? And now the time is up. Like, the fall season ends here on the 21st of December, right? So that's in 5 days. So the fall season is coming to an end. The winter season is going to mark a change in situations. We're going to really start to notice between December and March, as we enter the new year and enter this winter season. We're going to witness physically a lot of shifts and change when it comes to the wicked ones and the ones that were in a higher position, and the same for the chosen ones and those that were in viewed as more of a lowly position. This has been prophesied all throughout 2024, but a lot of it has been spoke about in advance and also spiritually. But the Lord is saying now that we hit the winter season and the new year, we're going to actually physically witness it happening before our very eyes. So we witness things with our spiritual eyes and our spiritual ears first. Then we witness them with our physical eyes and our physical ears after the fact, right? Say you have a feeling that a couple's going to break up. You just get this vibe by the way they're acting, but they're not broke up. You don't physically see them separate. You just get this vibe, okay? And then, but you're you're like, oh, that's going to be done in a couple months. That's a prophecy. And then when, say, a month or two goes by and you don't say anything and you find out from this friend, hey, I'm leaving so-and-so, or me and so-and-so broke up and I'm moving into my own home. In your mind, you're thinking, yeah, I saw that coming. I had a feeling that was on its way. I didn't know how long it would take. It could be a week or a month or whatnot, but I knew it was on its way. I could sense it. That's the same idea, is that you sense that coming with your spiritual eyes and your spiritual ears before you physically saw it happen and heard about it happening. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what I'm talking about here, is that this is what it's like, is that the Lord will show it to me or a true prophet in that way of, hey, this you get a feeling of what's coming because you're sensing it with your spiritual eyes and ears first. Then it physically comes to pass. And so that's the thing, is we've already started to see it crumble, but we're going to really see it it come to a crumble, right? And even if you see something falling apart, you don't see it come to its absolute devastation until a certain point, right? Well, the Lord is saying that's what's going to happen. So the devil was trying so hard to hold on to his grip, because that's the thing, is some of these people, I talked in my last message about the children of the devil. Some of these people think that the devil's protecting them. No, the devil's protecting himself. The devil is the master of pride, the master of lies. The devil doesn't want to look like a liar. The devil doesn't want to look like he's something he's not. He doesn't want to look like he lost. He doesn't want to look like the loser he is. You know what I'm saying? He wants to protect his own image. He wants to protect his own, his own time, his own effort, his own energy. He doesn't want to fall out empty-handed. So therefore, he's doing this to gratify himself. And so those that work for him, whether they realize it or not, they may think that he's trying to salvage them or come to their rescue, but he's not. He's out for one man and one man only, and that's himself. So therefore, he doesn't want to lose the positioning that he's in. And so he's doing whatever he can, sending himself and his demons, aka his puppets, aka his children, aka your enemies, to come against you and me, and has been for months. But the Lord's been protecting us, because the Lord is saying, no matter what, Satan, you're not going to control what's going to move forward here, and you know it. You and I both knew, and so did my prophets and my children, knew where things were January 2024. We all knew what was on up and ahead for January 2025. And as much as you had control in January 2024, is just as how much you're not going to have control in January 2025, right? And the devil knows it, because even when it comes to the spiritual things, the devil can't step to God. God's in charge always. God allowed the devil and his minions to run the show in the beginning of the year, but God knew, and his children knew, it was just a matter of time. And now here we are in the latter half of the year, and it's coming to a close, and the devil knows it. So he's been scrambling for weeks and months to try to, make it not so, right? But it's too late. It's already on its way. I mean, if the chosen ones were going to fall, they should have fell back in October, November, beginning of December, right? Once we're at this point now, the devil knows that there's only 2 weeks left of the year. There's only a week left of the fall season. We embark on the new season. And, the devil knows that we're venturing forward into a new year here, right? And so the devil gave it his best shot, his best, he pulled out all the stops, went all full guns blazing in 2024, but especially in these last 6 months, but he just could not do it. He could not surpass the protection that the chosen ones have from God and the angels. And the Lord is saying, that's the thing, is it required angels. The devil had dispatched so many demons in this last few months at the children of God that the Lord had to also dispatch a bunch of angels. And so I put out the word about 2 months ago talking about angels in your outfield, chosen one. And so for the last couple of months, chosen one, you've had angels surrounding you, right? You always do, but in particular, like Archangel Michael, right? You've had the archangels coming to protect you. You know, the Lord has sent the best of the best of the best. There's no demon that can step to the Lord's angels. And so the devil is like, I need to win. I'm going to dispatch like 5,000 demons on these chosen ones. And God's like, all right, Satan, I see you and I raise you 10,000 angels. So, you know what I'm saying? So the devil's like, no. And God's like, yes. And so for every 3 or 4 demons that came at me or you, chosen one, God, that's okay. God had 10 or more angels, surrounding. So there was no fair, it wasn't a fair fight for the devil. There was no competition, right? And so these enemies have had to witness since summer, but in particular this fall season, they've witnessed that everything they've tried to throw at you besides the kitchen sink has caused you to still continue to stay either where you are, if anything, but actually to elevate. Spiritually, again, you could still live in your same home, you could still drive your same car, dress the same, look the same, but I'm talking about spiritually. They know you've elevated, they know you've been promoted spiritually, and they know they've been demoted spiritually. They know that this pendulum has swung from their favor into your favor, okay? And so this is what the Lord is saying. The Lord is saying is that come 2025, thank you, Lord. The Lord's wanting me to get into the changes. So 2025 is going to bring a lot of changes. In 2025, we're going to witness the fall throughout all of so we saw January 2024 to January 2025 play out how it did, right? Well, we're going to witness, and you know how, like I said, from January 2024 to July 2024, we saw things in favor on the enemy's team, more or less, right? Well, now that we're in January 2025, from January 2025 to July 2025, we're going to witness the exact opposite. We're going to be seeing, so January 24 to July 24, the enemies were up. But we're going to now see January 25 to July 25, the enemies going down. January 24 to July 24, the chosen ones appeared as down. But in January 25 to July 25, we're going to see the chosen ones going up. So from Jan 24 to July 24, what was the head will now become the tail from Jan 25 to July 25. And what appeared as though that it was the tail in Jan 24 to July 24 is now going to become the head, Jan 25 to July 25. So the Lord's doing a complete switcheroo here. And this was why you heard about other people talking about destiny swap and everything, because that's right, is that this was the what's unfolding was the plan, because God's plan will always go no matter what. The devil cannot stop God's plan, right? But the devil was trying their best to switch the plan so that you who are up and coming, chosen one, into your glory was to not, like these enemies, and these enemies were going to go into glory and not you, and swap your fate with theirs and their fate with you. And again, this wasn't happening because the devil wanted to help them and give them a helping hand. This was happening because the devil wanted to continue having his power, his position, his power position, right? This is nothing new. The words I'm speaking today is just a wrap-up confirmation of what I've been saying all year. The Lord just keeps showing me all the words that I've put out throughout this year 2024. I spoke about this so much, talking about how those that were in the pit are going to go to the palace, those that were in the palace is going to go in the pit, when I made the word about Joseph. Talking about those that were the head is going to become the tail, and those are the tail is going to become the head. What was up was going to come down. I was making these words last January. What was up will come down. What was down will go up, This prophecy has been being prophesied on and off for an entire year, right? And that's because it was witnessed spiritually first, and now it's going to finally in 2025 be witnessed physically, right, on a grander scale. We've already seen some manifestations of it, but it's going to be even more so, and it's already started happening. I'm going back to what I started out this message saying. About a month ago in November, I had put out the word talking about how the Lord had revealed to me that Trump had won the election, and that the Lord had said in that word that Trump finding victory was step one, then Canada getting dealt with was step two, and then the chosen ones getting elevated was step three, right? And so in no particular order, of course, but that's what the Lord was saying to me in that message. So check it out if you want. It coincides with this one. The title was talking about President Trump. So in that message I talked, because the Lord has given me a little bit of political material throughout 2024. I'm not like really on to the politics, you know what I'm saying? But I do have a political opinion, and that is mostly governed by the Lord, because the Lord has let me know that, like I put in that word, that Trump was God's choice and Biden was the devil's choice, and that Trudeau was the devil's choice, right? And that Poilievre, if you follow Canada politics, is God's choice. So as we know, last January we had Biden and Trudeau in there, both devil's choices. We had Poilievre and Trump waiting in the background as God's choice. But God had to keep everything how it was, because that was how it was supposed to go at the time. The devil was supposed to have his reign. I talked about that in a different word, talking about the devil's reign at the time, right? And so the Lord has been setting up the blocks to do this switcheroo. These people thought they were going to switcheroo. No, God's doing the switcheroo. God is removing the devil's choices and putting in God's choices, okay? So going back to the spouse word, if you do have a spouse and your spouse has been dealing with the devil's choice for 2024, that's fine. God is kicking out the devil's choice and putting in his choice, which is yourself, back where it belongs, okay? Because Trudeau and Biden got into where they were under false pretenses, okay? Let's just say that. And it was because the devil had done a little bit of skewing and nipping and tucking and all the stuff that he does to pull strings off. So that's how that came to be. And same with this counterfeit that was in your spouse's life, okay? Same thing. The devil was controlling everything at one point. He was making people see you a way you weren't. He was making these spouses see these counterfeits as something they weren't. He was making people vote for people that were not legitimate, and even if they didn't vote for them, then votes were fudged. You know, all kinds of sneaky, underhanded, corrupt manipulations were going on, because that's how the devil moves. Because the devil can't move authentically. He's not genuine. He's not authentic. So he can't move in that way, because it's not of him, right? So the only way him and his minions, his peeps, can move is in dirty, sneaky, underhanded ways. And so that's what the devil was doing for a large chunk of 2024. And that was when the chosen ones were like, God, what is going on? But I never got out of pocket, you know, and I tried to keep you all in pocket too, because the Lord consistently maintained telling me, this is temporary, this is temporary, this is temporary, right? And now, of course, in the last couple of months, we've seen a shift, and the Lord has been explaining what that shift is to me. And so now, with all that said, the Lord is saying going into 2025, Trump was step one. He's already done that. So he's removed the devil's choice, which was Biden, and replaced it with God's choice, which was Trump. Now the Lord is working on the next step, which is removing Trudeau, which is the devil's choice, and replacing him as well. And the Lord is saying that we have free will. Of course, Jonah ran into the whale, but the Lord's will was still done in the end, right? Well, even though Trudeau was advised to step down and he refuses to do it because of the devil running him, it doesn't matter. There's no one that can step to God. So when God says that his time is done, his time is done. Just like when God decided that Biden's time was done and Trump's time was up, then like up and on, that's what happened, right? So the same thing's coming for Canada. And that was prophesied last month in November in the Trump word. And now in Canada, we're already seeing it play out. The Lord's been showing me the news, and it's just unfolding fast in this last week or two, because again, we're wrapping up this fall season and going into the new year. So it's the timing is here. The timing's divine. Is that even more things have been pulled out from under Trudeau, right, in this last week or two. And the Lord is saying this is what he signed up for. If Jonah had just listened to God, he wouldn't have had to go and get swallowed in a whale and sit in a whale's belly for 3 days. If Trudeau would have just listened to God, he would have stepped down last year, and he could have maintained some dignity and some integrity, right? And, you know, wouldn't have been made such a mockery. But because Trudeau decided not to listen to God and decided to make a mockery of Canada, now God is going to make a mockery of him. And he's already done it. These last few months, Trudeau did have a little bit of support here or there. That support's been pulled. Not only does Canada want him gone, but so does the entire North American continent. So does the States. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, so do other leaders in other countries. The Lord is saying, the Lord is magnifying and multiplying. The Lord can magnify and multiply good energy, but the Lord can also magnify and multiply bad energy. And so that's the thing, is that Trudeau could have been humiliated a little bit, but because he chose to go in the whale's mouth and not listen to God like Jonah, he's going to be humiliated a lot, you know. And because he could have lost a couple things, like a couple, little things, but because he chose to ignore God, he's now going to lose a lot of things. And so this is the thing, is that this is how God works, is that if Jonah would have just listened to God, then he wouldn't have had to go in a whale and God's will would have been done, right? Tickety-boo, that's all that you need to do. But because Jonah didn't want to listen to God, because he wanted to exercise free will, he took off. The Lord wasn't having it, strung him up in the whale, and then now the Lord's will still be done, which Jonah saw happen and Trudeau will see happen, but Jonah looked back and was like, dang, I didn't even need to go in that whale's mouth. Like, I should have just, it happened anyway. I wasted that time, effort, and energy. And it was embarrassing sitting in a whale. Like, what? And that's the same thing that's happening for Trudeau, is that he's going to look back and see, I should have just stepped down. I should have just stepped down, because the Lord's going to make it worse for you. So this is a key of advice, people, is that when the Lord tells you to do something, and it's the same with these enemies, okay? The Lord told these enemies, leave my child alone. Leave my child alone. Trudeau, step down. Even the Lord's saying he told Biden step down, and Biden listened. Biden did step down. And now as a result, like, Biden didn't get any further ahead, but he was still showing appreciation for the fact that he stepped down. I read several articles where people were giving him praise and saying, at least he stepped down, because over here in Canada, meanwhile, Trudy is being asked to step down, and he's choosing to just continue to, go full steam, even though God gave him the same message. And so because of that, Biden listened and went down and listened and, left with some dignity and some honor. But because Trudeau didn't listen, God amplified the humiliation, the mockery, even more than he originally already had intended, okay? And so you can either take the short way home or the long way home, right? It's up to you. But either way, you're going to end up home. So if it's up to me, I know I'm going to take the short way home. Because why waste all that time, effort, and energy walking an extra distance if you don't have to, when you're just going to end up in the same place anyway, right? Common sense makes sense. But that's the thing, is that these enemies, they think 2 + 2 = 6, so they don't have any common sense. And the same with Trudeau, no common sense. And he's not the only one. These are just the specifics the Lord's given me for this message, but put it where it may apply. The average person that's ran by the devil today, that's worldly, doesn't have common sense. They lack common sense. And so because of that, when you see something that's really simple, they can't process simple, right? Even though it's just so glaringly obvious. And so it's very simple and obvious to you and me that Trudeau should just step down and save face, right? It only makes sense. But unfortunately for him, he's ran by the devil, so therefore he lacks common sense. Common sense out the window, pride first. And so because of that, he's going to go to the bitter end. And when he looks back, he'll see that he only had himself to blame. And the Lord's will be done anyways. The Lord is removing him and putting in Poilievre. It could take a day or a week or a month or whatnot, but it's a matter of time, but it's going to happen. It already happened as prophesied with Trump, right? And I said in that word last month that Canada's up next. And so the Lord is showing me confirmation this last 2 weeks of even more things falling apart for Trudeau, and it's going to fall apart even more in the next 2 weeks. He just needs to listen to God and just, put his pride aside, but that's almost impossible when the demons are running you, right? But the Lord's will be done. There's no stopping it. Him and the devil are not going to stop it. He's not wanted as leader. He's going to be removed as leader. And even if he doesn't remove himself as leader, or the people can't remove him as leader, that's fine. God will remove him as leader, right? So this is the thing. Now, going back to these enemies, same thing goes. They lack common sense as well. The Lord has been telling them throughout 2024 to leave you alone. Leave my child alone. Leave my child alone. Giving them the same message as giving Trudeau and saying, step down, step down, step aside, step aside. But their pride is large and in charge, just like Trudeau's is, because they're being ran by the devil as well, right? There's demons on all these people's backs. I talked about that in another word that I put out in October, is that the demons are riding them. And so that's the thing, is that because the demons are riding these people, they can't understand what you're trying to, like, what to really do. And so these people continue to keep going against you and I, despite the Lord's advice. And they also have ended up in a whale's belly too, just like Trudeau did and all these others that have demons on their back. Because the Lord is not going to have it. And so the Lord is bringing these enemies of yours humiliation as well, and having them lose things one by one by one, like Trudeau as well. Them and these leaders are all in the same boat. They may be different people, it doesn't matter. They all make up people that work for the enemy. And if you work for the enemy, you're sure to lose, right? And the devil's riding these people so that they don't stop. Because the devil is full of pride and he wants them to go as far as he can, because he wants to try to switch things up, even though he knows the time is up. So how these people think that the devil's working for them, like helping them, is beyond me, because it just makes perfect sense that he's actually the one that's leading them into these devastating situations. But that's karma though, right? That's judgment. That's karma. That's how that works. So, I don't know. So there's that. Now that leads me into the new part of 2025 is, so what we're going to continue to see unfolding over these next 6 months and starting into this new winter season and this new year is a continual falling of, like, Trudeau and those that have been ran by the demons and your enemies. Okay. They're going to continue to lose and fall. And the Lord is saying they've slipped and they fell and they can't get up. So them and Trudeau and others have slipped and fell and gotten up in the past, but they're to the point now where they've slipped and fell again and they can't get up. And so the Lord has them where he wants them. They had us where they wanted us. Now he has them where he wants them. They're now the ones in the web that are stuck and caught. And they know it, right? But they have no choice but to continue on and just let the cards go to God and let the chips fall where they may, because God is pushing this on them, but at the same time, the devil is riding them. So they can't move right, they can't move left, they can't go forward, they can't go back. They're completely stuck. Because when they try to stop their ways and go back to God, like go to God and stop, it's too late. The devil's pushing on them like big time, so that they can't, like the devil won't let them go, right? But then on the other hand, when they go towards the devil and they're trying to do his dirty work for him, then God's up there with his angels pulling them back away from that. And so the devil's telling these people, go attack my chosen ones, children, go attack them, go do what you were doing. But every time these children of Satan go to try to attack me and you chosen ones and attack God's children, God and his angels come along and say, oh, no, you don't, and push them away from attacking. So they got the devil pushing them toward us, and they got God pushing them away from us. So they're literally, the Lord's showing me they're a ping pong ball. You know, a ping pong ball, or when you're playing badminton, a birdie, and it just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's what the Lord is showing me, is that these people they're stuck. Because they can't come after us, God won't let them, but they can't go backwards and leave us alone because the devil won't let them. So they're not in a very favorable position right now, and they know it. The Lord is showing me like a prey trying to get out of the spider's web. They know they're caught, and they just try everything they can to get out, but no matter how much they wriggle, they just get tired. They can't get up, right? They slipped and fell and they can't get up. So these enemies have slipped and fell into the Lord's trap, and they can't get up, like that sticky web. So anyway, so pray for your enemies, y'all, because they're going to need it. The Lord is saying, things have just started kicking off for them. They think that this isn't going to last, or if they go to God, or if they do this, that, and the third, they still think that they have ways in their human psyche to figure this out and to overcome this, and they can't. It's not possible. The Lord is saying this is spiritual, this is supernatural. You wanted to do spiritual, supernatural work against my children for months, right? Months, years. Well, you're now going to have supernatural, spiritual work done against you for months and years. And the only way, and I repeat myself a million times on this channel, the only way that these enemies can really anything is if they repent, right? First, they have to stop doing what they're doing. Trudeau needs to step down. Okay, and these enemies need to step down. They need to accept defeat. They're defeated and they know it spiritually. They just need to accept it physically. That's step one. Then step two is going and repenting to the Lord. It's not going to lift his hand right away, but it will appease him, because this is all he's wanted for 2024, was for Trudeau to step down and for these enemies to step down. He just wants people to do what's right. He's sick of the wicked prospering and the righteous being forgotten or pushed down. He's sick of it. And so he's tired of his heads being looked at as tails and his tails being looked at as heads. He's done with it. And so this 2024 year was a hard year for the righteous ones, the true ones, the children of God. But that's okay, because in 2025, the Lord is setting things back to right again, okay? He's going to make his heads heads and his tails tails. No more switcheroo, swapping, playing with perceptions, all this stuff. It's done. We already have seen it unfolding, and we're going to continue to see it unfold. And if it's been shown mostly spiritually, we're going to see it even more so physically. It's going to transition from spiritual to physical. And so we're going to see those that were up come down, and those that were down go up. And again, some of this will be physical, of course, but a lot of this will also be spiritual too, okay? And so that leads me into the other thing. Yesterday when I was in church, because I do church online, but when I was in the church meeting for it, I heard the Lord telling me he was rattling off all the things that are going to happen for the chosen ones in 2025, okay? So this message applies for myself, chosen ones, but also you as well, okay? Now I'm going to say this is only for the true chosen ones. If you've been falsifying that you're a chosen one and you're truly not, you're not in this category. You know, the Lord views you as wicked, okay? Especially if the Lord was telling you, hey, stop making videos, stop saying you're a child of God, stop talking about me when you're a sinner, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? You know who you are. And for those of you that were enemies for the bigger part of the year and have just came to God recently, this is also not for you. You know, the Lord will maybe give you a second chance or redeem you. I don't know. That's between you and him. But he doesn't work that way. He doesn't just accept that you went against his children for 8 or 9 months, saw the light in November, been praying to him for a month, and now you're back to square. You know, you're back straight. That's not what happens. You know, you have to pay for what you owe a spiritual debt, right? You can't attack a chosen one for 8-9 months or 8-9 years or whatever the amount may be, and just, you know, get a little slap on the wrist, pray a few times, and off you go scot-free. No, you owe a debt, right? It's like if you went to a restaurant and you ate a bunch of meals, you can't just owe a tab of $100 and give them $10 and call it a day. You owe them $100. They might settle for 90, but they're definitely not going to settle for 10, right? You owe 90% more than that to the house, right? That's the thing, is that you're in debt to God. And so, you know, you might, you know, the chosen ones you hurt, maybe they won't get anything from you, but you're going to pay the tab back to God. And so maybe if you tried taking things from chosen ones, you're not actually going to go and give them back something. That's okay. The Lord will give them back what you took. If you tried to take their partner, the Lord will give them back their partner or a different partner, but you're going to lose your partner from now on and for the next couple of years. You know what I'm saying? As an example, if you tried to make this chosen one lose their job, the Lord's going to give this chosen one back that job or a better job, and the Lord's going to make it so that you can't work now for the next 2 years, where you're destitute, maybe even homeless because you can't find work. You owe the Lord for what you did, right? The wages for sin is death. So even if it's a spiritual death, even if it's a death to your income, a death to your relationship, a death to, you know what I'm saying? The Bible doesn't say the wages for sin is a physical death. It doesn't say that you must physically die for sin. It just says the wages for sin is death. So meaning that the death can come to anything. So if you sin, you know, say you're constantly stealing, then, you know, you might get caught and go to jail. Well, now the death came to your freedom. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing, is you have to remember that it's open for interpretation. Like, that's another thing the Lord is saying, is that these enemies just thought, these people aren't happy, so they didn't really care if they died, right? So they felt like, oh, if I sin, what I owe will be, my debt will be a death. Okay, that's fine. It's worth it to me. Take me out. But what these people don't realize is that it's deeper than that. Like, a death doesn't necessarily just mean a physical death. It means that the Lord can keep you alive, but then bring death to those around you, or bring death to things you love, like money or your looks or your freedom. You know what I'm saying? The death is open for interpretation. There's literally 100 different things that the Lord could die or kill, you know, besides you, right? And I'm just quoting the Bible. The Bible says the wages for sin is death. So, you know, you have to pay the house back. And so you owe these chosen ones that you attack, but even if you don't physically give back these chosen ones their job, or these chosen ones their reputation, that's fine. It's all good. The Lord will return those things to them, so they're not permanently, maybe they temporarily lost that job or their finances or their reputation, but they didn't permanently lose it, right? The Lord will restore it to them, but now you are going to lose your reputation or your partner or your relationships with your family members. You know, the list goes on and on and on. Who knows? Again, open for interpretation. I'm just simply telling you that it doesn't work that way. You can't double cross people for months and years on end, pay back a little bit, you know, of something, and then that's all good. No, the Lord says you will be paid back in the measure that you gave out, right? The measure that you gave is the measure you will receive, okay? So if you did 100 things against a chosen one, you're going to get back 100 things. You're not going to do 100 things to a chosen one and get back 5. You know, it doesn't work that way. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out. So anyways, the chosen ones, on the positive side, throughout this year 2025, we're going to be receiving more maturity, forgiveness, like where there will be things that we forgive that we've been holding on to, things from our past, right? No matter how far back it goes, we'll receive forgiveness. We won't be attacked anymore, not to a level we were anyway. We will receive new gifts, like new spiritual gifts. The Lord will unlock gifts that you have inside of you that have been locked up and stagnant. The Lord will release those to you. The ones that you already have that the Lord has bestowed upon you, He's going to strengthen them so they get even stronger. It's already started happening to me. I obviously have the gift of prophecy, but my gift of prophecy has gotten stronger in the last couple of months. And the Lord is saying it's going to continue to get even stronger as I progress through 2025. And so will the other true prophetic children of God. Same thing. Other gifts and talents, like maybe I have other gifts and talents that I have, you know, that I haven't been realized yet to, and the Lord's going to show those to me and to you as well, chosen one. You're going to be having things restored, whatever was stolen from you, your dignity, your freedom, your reputation, your mind, your heart, you know, your personality, your gifts, things like this, your abundance, your blessings. These things are all going to be restored to you and then some. Like we know the story of Job. Job was blessed double, right? He didn't just receive back what he lost. He received back what he lost times 2. So your reputation is going to be even better than it used to be. Your gifts are going to be even stronger than they once upon a time were. You know what I'm saying? Your wisdom is going to be even greater than ever before. Your discernment, you know what I'm saying? So you're going to get back everything that you had inside and out, and then even more so in abundance, okay? You're going to get closer to God throughout this year, even closer than you already are. So the Lord's just showing me a receiving of things and or the things that you've already received, a multiplication of them, a growing of them, you growing, okay? And of course, we're never done, right? As long as as the Lord has a plan for us and we're living out these days of ours and we have, you know, a journey that the Lord has laid out for us, we're never done, you know, learning and growing and maturing and receiving and all this type of stuff, right? But the Lord is just saying 2025 is going to look a lot different for the chosen ones than 2024 did. 2025 is going to look more easy, more blessed, and the Lord is going to spend more time with you, chosen ones, working on your relationship with yourself, those that the Lord has delegated to be blessed to be in your life, and your relationship with Him, and less focus on these enemies, okay? It was important for the chosen ones to focus on these enemies, and like, I don't know about you, chosen one, but I know with me throughout this year 2024, the Lord had me more removed from like myself in that way, and my children, and making friends and being social and being seen and all this. The Lord had removed me from all that and had me more like isolated and working on my relationship with Him and putting Him first and discovering myself and the things about me that were good and the things about me that weren't so good and the things about me that needed work and the things about me that needed to be you know, cultivated. Like the good things, like I had fields of blessing in me that were just being unattended. Those needed to be worked on, and so I could receive and yield from those. But then other things that I was focusing on that were of no importance, the Lord had me realize that those things were not important and to push those things away and let those go to waste, right? So kind of like things like that. And so There was a lot of internal examination for myself throughout this year 2024, and also consistent, constant 24/7 warfare. I was under attack 24/7 during this year 2024, right? Morning, noon, and night. And I was constantly trying to do this internal examination, work on my relationship with the Lord, whilst also fighting off these demons in this demonic warfare, all at one time, 24/7 cycle, right? And so I was having to manage a lot of things. And so the Lord is saying that for myself and for you, chosen one, if that resonates for you as well, 2025 is going to be spent differently. It's going to be because we've already laid the seeds in 2024. When these things bloom and grow in 2025, it's going to be tending to them. It's no longer waiting for the garden to grow. It has already grown. Now you're going to be able to weed it and water it and nurture it, you know what I mean? And enjoy the yield you get from it, the flowers you receive, the bounty you receive, right? And so there's going to be more of that, no longer planting and seeding in 2024, but actually harvesting and enjoying in 2025, right? And no longer will you have to struggle so hard to get close to the Lord like you had to in 2024, because you've laid the groundwork and seeds with him, that now that harvest, that crop will thank you, Lord, that crop will harvest in 2025 as well. And same thing goes, you'll be able to. So the Lord just shows me, like, you laid seeds when it came to relationships and with your family and with yourself and with the Lord and with maybe finances or business opportunities, you know, things like this. You laid all these different seeds in your fields, proverbial, of course, in 2024, and you've just kind of been waiting around to see if these things will grow or not, and what they will grow, and how much you're going to yield from it, and how bountiful it'll be. And the Lord is saying that it was difficult because as this was going on through 2024, the enemy was coming and trying to ruin your crops and plant tares and do all these things to sabotage you, right? And so not only were you trying to grow things, you were trying to fight off the predators at the same time. Well, the Lord is saying that now in 2025, you're not going to have those predators like you had, for one. So there's that relief. And the second thing is, you know, you've given the soil time to turn. So these seeds are going to actually grow, and they've been growing actually throughout these last couple months of fall. And they're going to start to bloom and blossom. Okay, the Lord is saying, especially in the springtime and spring harvest, the Lord is saying springtime. So look for March to June, I believe-ish, of 2025, of really receiving like this harvest, right, from what you've already done last year. So 2025 looks a lot different, but of course there's still going to be some struggle moments. I mean, that's part of being human, right? And the devil's still out and about. But you're going to see, physically see and spiritually see, witness, and the Lord will confirm this to you, chosen one, a reaping and a harvesting of things in 2025 of the seeds that you sown through hardship and struggle in 2024, right? And you're not going to have as much adversity in 2025 as you had in 2024. It's because the devil knows that once this stuff starts to grow, it's too late. It's already grown, right? So he tries to sabotage it when it's in its seed form, because he knows if he can get at it when it's in its seed form, it's a lot easier to try to destroy or sabotage, okay? The devil also knows about discouragement. The devil knows that when you plant seeds and he uproots them and they don't grow, and then you replant and he uproots them and they don't grow, you start to get discouraged because you're not physically seeing anything. So he banks on that, right? But when the Lord sends angels to protect you and your crops, and then it gives them a chance to actually start to sprout and grow, and when they start to sprout and grow, which you've been seeing over these last couple of weeks and months, it gives you a sense of encouragement and a sense of hope that, hey, you know, maybe I do got something here. And so now that that's transpired, the devil can no longer use the disappointment and discouragement tactic that he was using at the beginning stages of 2024, because you've already witnessed some blooming going on. And because you've witnessed some blooming, it's encouraging you to continue to water and nurture and care for this, whereas before it just looked like dead soil, right? But no longer is it that, because the angels have been in your outfield, chosen one, so they've been protecting you and these seeds you've sown throughout 2024, right? And so now you're seeing growth, and you're going to see even more growth in 2025, okay? And so you're going to see growth. Thank you, Lord. The Lord is saying the key word for 2025 is growth, okay? The Lord hasn't yet given me a scripture for 2025. I know last year he gave me Psalm 24. I already looked, and no, Psalm 25 is not what the Lord is giving me for this year. So maybe it's another 25 scripture, like Proverbs 25. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'll have to wait for confirmation from him. But the Lord has confirmed that it is not Psalm 25, is not the anchor scripture he's giving me for this year. That is something else. I have yet to receive it. I haven't received it yet, but I will. But what the Lord was showing me was this message I'm giving out today in regards to wrapping up 2024 and embarking into 2025. And so this is a very important message. I really hope that YouTube doesn't censor this one and try to, blacklist this one, because this is a message that's not only important today, but it's a message that's important a month or 2 or 3 from now, right? Even as we're into 2025 to come back on, because it lays out a summary of what happened in 2025. It talks about the transition from one year to the next and about what's to come in 2025 for the enemies and for the righteous, right? So for the children of the devil and the children of God, what's to come. So the outlook for 2025 looks not so good for the children of the devil. The children of the devil, it looks like they're going to go where you were. They were the head and you were the tail. Now they're going to become the tail and you're going to become the head. And so they tried to switch, but the Lord is actually doing the switch. And he's taking them from the palace to the pit and you from the pit to the palace. So you're going to receive growth. So the Lord is saying growth is the key word for both the wicked and the righteous, for your enemies, the children of Satan and the children of God. The key word for 2025 is growth, okay? So write that one down. There will be growth for the enemies and the wicked, and there will also be growth for the righteous and the children of God and the children of the devil. They will both experience growth, okay? So you've already grown a lot, child of God, so you're going to just see even more elevated growth through 2025, and these enemies, these wicked, have not grown at all, and so they need to start. So the Lord is saying, last year, child of God, you were planting seeds, right? And now this year, 2025, you're going to receive a harvest. Well, the Lord is saying that these wicked ones, enemies, are going to spend their 2025 planting seeds, and if they're really good and really lucky, maybe they too will see some growth and harvest in 2026, okay? But that this will grow them internally, which they need to sprout. You've already sprouted, chosen one, and you're just going to grow even more, okay? So picture like a flower growing. It starts in seed and starts to bud and bloom and blossom. That's where these enemies are headed, okay? They need to go be in their time out in their whale and do some self-reflection and internal examination, and it's not going to be easy. They are going to have a tough road to hoe just like you did, okay? They're going to go through struggle and hardship. But first, the Lord's going to put them through some things that's going to humble them, because that pride needs to be checked. Like, say on a scale of 1 to 10, the average human pride is like a 5, okay? Theirs is like a 12. So it's like overboard, okay? So the Lord has already started to put them through some things, and the Lord is going to continue to put them through some things that's going to bring them down a few pegs. They wanted you brought down a few pegs, but in reality, the people that needed to be brought down a few pegs are these ones. Because when Trudeau doesn't step down, that's due to an over-in-charge sense of pride, and it needs to be checked yesterday. And same with these enemies. The reason why they wouldn't stop attacking you is because of this pride. The biggest enemy for these enemies is the pride. And it's what's caused them to be in God's not so good books. And it's what's caused them to have these spiritual and physical falls. And it's falls from grace is what it really is, right? But these things are important for them to grow. They need to grow too. And one of the first steps to growth is to check yourself and to check your pride and to be humbled. And one of the best ways to be humbled is to be embarrassed. And so that's why the Lord is very strategic in what he does, is that when these people are surrounded by friends and money and attention and look like they are good looking, and those around them are good looking and noticing their good looks, and they get attention and all this stuff, it's all appearances, their pride is just booming, okay? But when the Lord removes their finances, removes their friends, takes their job position away, makes it so that maybe they have to take the bus, their vehicle's broke down and they have no money to fix it. Maybe they are on the verge of homelessness, now they know how it feels. Maybe they have to ask for handouts. Maybe they have to ask for someone to borrow money to them or to lend them something, or to, for a donation or something. Things like this, right? Things that they would have viewed 6 months ago as completely outrageously mortifying, embarrassing. These are things that you had to do, chosen one, right? And so what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you can be a child of God and be humbled, then why shouldn't the child of the devil be humbled? They should be the first ones. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord is going to put them through. They've already been through, but it's just a taste. The Lord's going to put them through some more things that's going to check that ego, check that pride, because pride is a sin, right? And the wages for sin is death. And so the Lord's going to die off some things for them. And this is all strategic and purposeful because it's going to humble them and it's going to grow them ultimately, okay? So this is actually, what seems really bad is actually for their best interest, just like it was for you, chosen one. Meanwhile, chosen one, you've already been through that stage. So now you are going to continue to grow as well, but you're going to grow even higher than you already are. You know what I mean? You're going to grow closer with yourself, grow closer with those that the Lord sends into your life, grow closer with the Lord. And it's going to be really good, And of course, nothing's perfect, but it is going to be positive moving forward for you, chosen one. So I'm going to leave it there because this message is already 1 hour and 15 minutes. I will be back, and I'm sure I will be, because this is a very, the Lord gives me very meaty topics, and so sometimes it takes more than one message to break down all the little bits and pieces he gives me, right? And so I'll be back when and if the Lord leads me in his right and perfect timing, and I know he will, so stay tuned for that. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. I hope you got something for it. If you did, and it resonates, this message is for you. I hope I explained things well. I hope it made sense. Maybe it answered some things for you, chosen one, confirmed some things or revealed some things. And I hope it finds you well. I hope it blesses you. Take care, and God bless.